Let's give them a big hand and welcome them.
Well, thank you, everybody. It's so good to be here. And thank you for inviting me here, Penny. Thank you so much. How many of you have ever heard me say anything about what we're doing before? A few? We got some first-timers. Excellent. Well, my name is Daniel Daves, and we have a little farm. It's a prototype farm and dehydration center in Potrerillos, which is over by the Citrico plant if you were heading towards Volcan. And it doesn't matter how I say it, Potrerillos. If I was saying it to a Spanish person, they don't know what I mean because they don't understand the way I say it. So, but if we're anywhere close in English, I think we know about where that's at. So I'll say Potrerillos, and they say, huh? Oh, Potrerillo, or something. Oh, I got it. So we have been here almost 7 years now. We picked up the farm almost 6 years ago after we spent 3.5 years in Costa Rica looking for farmland. It wasn't going to happen in Costa Rica because we would have to grow gold to pay off the land in Costa Rica. So we finally found this gorgeous location in Panama. Land is cheaper, 12-month growing season, 18 inches of volcanic soil. We just happen to land on a little plot of land that has no rocks. Thank God for that. You don't think about that, you know, especially a person like me who's never farmed in my life before. You know, I would have bought a big old plot of land if it was just up to me. I bought a plot of land filled with rocks and then realized I'm going to spend $50,000 removing all those rocks, not knowing for sure where I'm going to stack them up at. So we were very fortunate to just get a beautiful plot. So I wanted to show you just a few things before I start talking from in my perspective on poverty and hunger in Latin America and specifically in Panama and what we all can do about it. I think that every one of us can get engaged, activated to some degree to do something to help in the local area, in Cherokee Province or in Panama or other nations of the Latin American world. So I'm going to use, hopefully, some new technology that is wireless. Let's see how that works. By the way, you'll see my little photo here. That's the background of one of our 9 greenhouses, 200 feet long by 35 feet. 35 feet wide each. We've got about 1.5 acres of greenhouse. That's 6,000 meters of greenhouse, and then we have a little bit more outdoor planting. Everything we do is prototype. Not for mass production, but to show others how to do what we are learning to do. And after all these years of farming, I feel like I'm in about 5th grade in some areas and in kindergarten in others, haven't even started schooling yet in the area of fish, things we want to do in the future, all of that. So it's a never-ending college education. Every day we step out on that farm, we're learning something really amazing. I'm sure that you, Betty, would say the same thing. You've had farming, it just never stops, especially in Latin America. Now, I think that I'm really fortunate that I had never farmed before when I came here. So I didn't have to get outside of a box that I was used to. I've seen a lot of farmers come down from North America and they would say, step back and watch the master at work. 6 months later, they're saying, I'm broke, what happened? I don't know, it's not working here. Everything's different in the tropics. My goodness. So, here's my dear wife, Tracy, myself. We came here with our 2 children who are now grown adults and working back in the United States. Kind of hard to find jobs here in Panama if you're a U.S. kid. But you may have seen we do have a Tuesday booth at the Tuesday markets. And we're kind of famous for our spinach, our okra, our USA stringless green beans, and kale, Swiss chard, mustard greens and collard greens. Anything to do with superfood, that's what we're into. By default, our mentor who taught us how to build greenhouses and run a farm, he said this: your farm is like your wife. You had better learn what she likes and what she doesn't like. Because if you want to do what you want to do, and you violate your farm, what your farm likes, no one's going to be happy. And we learned that that's absolutely true. We started out trying to grow peppers and tomatoes. Our farm did not want to grow peppers and tomatoes. And we tried and failed. And we tried and failed. Tried something different and failed. After 6 failures, you know, I'm a little hard-headed, but I finally figured it out. I don't think I'm supposed to be growing peppers and tomatoes, but you know what our farm does like? Superfoods. It likes anything with leaves. And so we started planting it. We found out the 2 top expenses of the farm are your plant food and your employees. Those 2 expenses will kill you if you don't have them under control. So growing peppers and tomatoes, we had to have an armed guard on every tomato plant, and it was very expensive to keep all the enemies off that plant and to keep it growing and keep it winding up so it didn't fall over and all of that. But what we've learned is if you can find something where you can plant it and never put an employee on it again until it's time to harvest, that's the very best kind of plant to have in Panama. So our farm loves superfoods, and the reason I think is because our initial goal is to dehydrate superfoods. And so we now have a greenhouse full of superfoods. What we don't sell on Monday and Tuesday, we dehydrate Wednesday through Saturday, and we give it away to the poor. And it allows us to grow it and dehydrate it. So let's see here. Just a few photos of some of our greenhouse production out there. It was some of the peppers we finally grew, got out of the ground, but that was pre-change. And we ask you, come visit sometime, come out to the farm. It's about a 30-minute drive, but I think that you'll really enjoy your stay. We'll give you the nickel tour. It takes about 30 minutes. And we'll show you all the things we're doing. Eventually, we want to do an agricultural tour where people can actually, you know, come on out and tour the place and then eat an organic salad if they'd like to for lunch. That'll be hopefully coming in the future. Our farm, just to let you know, right now is 75% driven by bunny rabbits. When we started out with the whole commercial thinking, peppers and tomatoes, our plant food cost per month was $1,500 a month just to put the plant food down through the irrigation lines. We had a friend that came and said, you need to try something, and it's called bunny rabbit tea. Rabbit tea. Well, what good is that going to do? Well, the bunny poop is so loaded with cool nitrogen and all the friendly bacteria that if you will learn how to do this, you can replace your plant food with this. So we have about 15 rabbits and an 1.5 acres of greenhouse, and right now we're 75% driven by bunny rabbit tea. So we feed the rabbits kale and Swiss chard and spinach and all the things they love. They eat better than all of us. And in return, they work all day long. And we receive their poop, put it in a big 10 or 15-pound tea bag, stick it in a 55-gallon drum of water, along with a liter of molasses, and then we bubble it with fish tank bubblers for about 5 days. And it oxygenates and creates this beautiful, friendly bacteria soup mix. And we inject it into the irrigation lines, and the plants say, what just happened? And they grow like crazy. So what we've done is we've closed the loop. You may have heard sustainable business, sustainable farming. Sustainability is a very, very hard thing to do. None of us are very sustainable naturally, but we're learning how to be sustainable. So basically we've closed the loop. We feed the rabbits and the rabbits feed us, and we get extra produce that we send out. So we're kind of like a sun model. The sun recreates itself every day and sends off heat. And so that's what we've learned to do with rabbits. One day, we'll have about 30 to 35 rabbits, and we think at that point, we may be 100%. Our $1,500 a month in plant food dropped to $200 a month. Primarily, that's the pellets that we feed the rabbits now. And just a little bit of commercial fertilizer to help where the rabbit tea doesn't provide. Isn't that exciting? I used to be in business and rentals back in the U.S. and stock trading, and none of that stuff ever would have excited me before. So you know, like I stay up at night now, excited about all these great things that we would have nightmares about 10, 11 years ago. One of the things that we have been doing here in the last 90 days. We started growing hundreds of papaya trees, moringa trees, spinach plants, and guandu, which is that's the Christmas bean for the Panamanians. Our goal is to take our area, because during the COVID crisis, we were out delivering truckload after truckload of emergency food supplies. As we know, when the lockdown hit, in the Panama world, if you don't work this week, you're not going to eat next week. There is no savings account. There is nothing extra. And a lot of people were in a lot of trouble. So we've determined we don't want to do that again, and a whole lot of Panamanians don't ever want to do that again. So our goal is to make everyone in our community food sustainable. So that, and moringa being one of the greatest nutritional trees you could ever plant, it's so easy to grow in this country. And moringa is vitamin A, B, C, D, E, all the micronutrients the human needs, all of the amino acids you need, and 26% protein. The highest protein available in any kind of leaf. It's an amazing plant. They call it the tree of life. I think I know why. And so if we can get a moringa tree in everyone's backyard, if the very worst happened again, they're not going to die. If they'll eat those leaves, mix it in with rice, whatever you've got to do, just get those leaves in you, you're going to be healthy at the end of the month, at the end of the year, with one moringa tree per family. Well, we give out 2 or 3. We say, we believe that every school, every park, every church, every community center needs to have moringa growing all the way around, just in case. Right? So those are some of the things we do. We use volunteers that come through. Get a lot of international volunteer teams coming through Cherokee, and one of the first things we'll do, we'll load the truck up with all kinds of plants, and they'll go down through the community and start giving plants away. If you know anything about guandu beans, that's the Christmas bean. Like me, if you came to me in the United States and handed me a holiday turkey, I would thank you so much. Wow, I got a turkey in May. Well, when you hand a Panamanian a guandu plant, it's the exact same thing, because Christmas in Panama is not Christmas if there's not guandu beans in that rice. And so when you hand them a plant, they know what it is, and they're thinking immediately, all I got to do is plant this. I plant this, and I got 10 pounds of guandu, which is $6 to $8 a pound at Christmas. Some people will work 2/3 of a day to get 1 pound of guandu just so the family felt like Christmas. Well, we're loading them up. Guandu costs nothing to plant, so we just plant hundreds of them and hand them out. It's a great thing to teach our community members sustainability. Okay, so those are a few things that we do. We're also doing curcumin in the future. We'll do other plants. We have had a project going for the last 4 months. You may have seen some of our postings. I got this crazy idea. Right now we have about 70 chickens, and we use eggs for protein with our children's feeding programs, rice, our vegetables from our farm, and they need some protein and fat, so we use eggs for that in the mixture that we give out. Wednesday is our day that we feed the children in our area around our farm. So we've got 70 chickens, but in my Texas thinking, I said, that's not enough. Let's get some more. So we built what Tim calls the Pollo Palace. We built a big old chicken farm house that will hold 180 chickens. And we did a whole lot of different things for multi-purposes to help the indigenous figure out how to, they literally can build their homes faster, cheaper, and stronger using our model, the way we built a chicken house with concrete floor and footings and all of that. And so we're teaching them how to build faster, cheaper, stronger, and we got this big chicken house, which we're loading up today. I got 350 babies that are supposed to be in David to bring them back to the farm. Today, last week, they came up short. We only had 75. So here's the deal. What am I doing with 400 chickens? We're going to raise them from the little babies, 6 to 8 weeks, and then we're giving them away. Once their immune systems are strong, they got all their feathers, and they can forage out there for their food, we're giving them away to widows, single-parent families, and those that have been unemployed for a long time. And our goal is that every family member gets a chicken, so that within 6 months, every chicken will be laying eggs for each family member. Everyone gets an egg a day. Did you know that a little baby chicken will lay, once they start, 6 months from birth, they will lay 912 eggs per chicken over a 2.5-year period. That's 76 dozen eggs for one little chicken. So we are growing right now 200 extras. And once we get those given out, we're just going to bring some more in and just going to keep that cycle going as long as we can. So that's our chicken protein project. It was a harebrained idea. I thought, what are we doing? I'm not just going to keep 180 for myself. Look at all this room we've got. Let's grow some more for the community. So a chicken costs $1.25. The feed and all of that for 6 to 8 weeks is another $1.25. So $2.50 buys us 76 dozen eggs for someone in the community. Isn't that exciting? Now, when we hand those chickens out, they have to promise not to eat it. And we'll be back to check up. We want to make sure that producing little machine is still around to start producing for at least 2.5 years. And they'll put out eggs for 3.5 years. As long as you let them live, they'll keep out putting eggs. So those are some of the things that we've told. We put out and said, this is our chicken program. Now, I'd like to take a quick turn for our dehydration center. Did you know that 40% of all food grown around the world, and you can almost go to any location in the world and find 40% is lost. We have to double our food supply in the next 9 years to feed a growing population. But we're not. We're growing less food every year. And yet, in the middle of the food we're growing, we're losing 40%. So 10 to 15% at the farm level. I can attest to that. From a tomato falling off the vine to kale that we didn't get sold or distributed. It's rotting. It's insect bites on something. It makes it no longer sellable. 40% is lost. 10 to 15% at the farm level, 10 to 15% at distribution and store level. And typically the home loses about 10%. We just didn't get it eaten. It starts shriveling and we throw it away. Well, one of the great opportunities with this problem is dehydration. And so it's a huge key. Dehydration is not rocket science. It is it's airflow and heat. That's all it is. And if we can offer that, there is so much food available that we could never dehydrate it all. If you were to put a little home dehydrator on your kitchen counter, 7-8 pounds a day, you could just dehydrate all day long. If you do something a little bit bigger like we have, and I think there's our, this is our prototype dehydrator. We've been doing it now for 2 years. And we fill those racks with about 150 pounds of superfood. We just did green beans, lots of kale, lots of moringa, and spinach, and anything we can pull out of that farm, we can throw in those racks. And that little box heats up and rotates the air 8 to 10 hours. We pull that rack out, and then we make superfoods, which ends up being this here. And we powderize it down. This superfood mix, you can take 1 heaping tablespoon, throw it in a pot of rice, and it infuses into the rice as it's cooking, and all the nutrients stay in that rice. So really, for a Panamanian, who many don't eat greens, it's not in their history. Most of us probably know what it means, eat your greens. Right? Mama always said, eat your greens. Well, that's not really common in Panama. So for the first time, among the malnutrition and the poor, we see kids whose families are starting to put one of these in their pot of rice 3 times a week. We've seen kids grow out of their clothes. Their minds are coming alive. Their grades get better. They're able now, especially in the indigenous, to get past that 5.3-year barrier where their minds won't fire fast enough to get into the 6th grade. Now things are changing simply because the nutrition they've been lacking in all their lives is just 3 times a week, 1 tablespoon per family. That 1 tablespoon, from our estimates, is about a pound of superfood. So imagine a family of 8 or 10 eating a pound of kale and Swiss chard 3 times a week. That is a game changer. Now that's how simple it is, just to make these superfoods. And we put that 6 ounces or 6 heaping tablespoons, we put them in big Ziplocs and send them out to grassroots groups that are interested in nutrition, and they teach this. By the way, you may say, well, how does it taste? It really tastes great. And the good news is that in Panama, one of the heroes of Panama that's still on Saturday cartoons is the hero is called Popeye. His name is Popeye. And he eats spinach, right? And that's what makes him strong. So the kids, we say, this is the superfood of Popeye. Well, you're kidding me. Let me try it. Once they try it, they're in. Popeye, it tastes good, I'm in. And then the parents know they can keep adding it, and the kids will eat it. So thank you, Popeye, who is now public domain. He's so old, he's public domain. We can utilize him internationally. In the U.S. next year, we can use it in the U.S. public domain. So, that was just a little added help piece to help us get these kids interested. And so leave it up to a part 2. Here's just a few of our kids. We pulled up our crates. We use the big plastic cups from Price Mart, and we load them with eggs, vegetables, and rice, and have the kids come over. If there's a volunteer team in town, they'll teach them English, a little English class, or they'll run some games with them for an hour. And anyway, the kids are just as cute as can be, and it just breaks my heart to see a little girl with her 2 brothers and sisters comes in and says, is there any food at all today? And I know these kids, I know the parents have been out of work for months, and I'm like, just hang on, darling. I'm going to go in there and cook up a pot of rice and vegetables and eggs for you. Just hang on. And it just breaks my heart. So anyway, right now, Wednesday's our day. Just because that's all the breath I have right now. But we're always looking for volunteers who want to come out Monday or Tuesday or Thursday or Friday. We'll have 4 days as those things happen. Here's a few of the international teams that have come through. They help us pack up the racks with superfoods, and they work with the kids. Lots of fun. This was some of the photos of our COVID crisis food distribution. How many here were locked down during COVID? You were restricted? Well, I didn't get that vacation. The government handed me a piece of paper and said, get out there and go. 24/7, all farmers had access to go wherever we wanted. So we loaded up, and people started donating and giving so graciously. A few groups here in town started accumulating funds, and so we would bring the food up to them. We had the access to distribute food. Rice, beans, our vegetables, the fresh vegetables, and we would go down to the market in the ravine and pick up all kinds of, 50-pound bags of everything, onions, whatever. By the way, the farmer, in, let me take just a quick note here. The farmer in Cherokee and in Panama, before COVID, was in deep trouble. CentralAmericanData.com, if you'd like to take one of these, please do and share it abroad. This was in August of 2019. This is 6 months before the big drama started happening. And the headline is, agricultural production is in danger of extinction. Whoa, extinction. I know what that means because I'm a farmer. And if I had to rely on farming to be here, I'd just be out of business. That would be it. We're not here for that, so we're not out of business. But the Panamanian farmers were already in trouble. When the COVID lockdown hit, it cut them 50% further than they were already in trouble. Why? Because half of all their production was going to restaurants, and the other half was going to people and grocery stores. So when the restaurants closed, every farmer found himself with 50% more produce than he could do anything with. I just felt terrible. But we would go down into the marketplace, 50-pound bags of potatoes, $5. $5, 50 pounds. Oh, they're on sale at $4. And the guy distributing it, he was making 25%. And the farmer literally couldn't afford to pull it out of the ground, clean it, bag it, and drive it all the way down to the market. He couldn't even afford to do that. So many of them just let their crops go. And it took about 90 to 120 days, and then they reduced their loads. And I don't know if you saw it, we all saw it. When the restaurants opened back up, no one could get food. There wasn't any being grown for them. And so it was a pull this way and a pull back this way, and farmers really took the brunt. So if you find a good farmer, a little local guy or girl, a family that you really like, you're endeared to, support them, help them. And you know, we're really among if you're here today, you've got more money than probably any of these farmers. And so if you have an opportunity just to throw them a couple extra bucks as a good, you know, brother, a good sister, a good supporter. I don't even know what it would mean to send a farmer on a 3-day vacation, but you'd blow their minds. Send them down to the beach for 3 days or something. They don't get vacations because there's not enough money for them really to even survive. Most of the farmers are at subsistence level and live on dirt floors, and that's why food seems to be cheaper, because it doesn't take as much to take care of them. And that's why food is cheap here in this area for the most part. So anyway, we were able to do truck after truck after truck, week after week, because of the generous donations and because food was cheap. We could fill our truck 3 times during COVID as compared to before COVID, you know, we could fill it once. Unfortunately, those cheap prices were because the farmers were in deep trouble, supply and demand. Out of my book, Global Food Revolution, we knew what was coming when we started looking for a farm. The United Nations, World Food Program, all the organizations been saying for 12, 13 years, warning, 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 it's coming, and it's going to come fast. And really the world hasn't been listening to them, but we knew what was coming. We've been involved in feeding children around the world for years. We're just a small organization, but we just got a heart to feed whoever we possibly can. And so when that was our reason for moving out of the U.S., where we used to raise money to give to the grassroots group, and then they would buy the food and distribute it. We knew that at some point we'd have to start growing it ourselves. And that's why we made the move with fear and trembling and shaking knees, because we'd never grown a tomato successfully when we moved to Central America. You know, oh man, but we knew what we were going to have to do. So anyway, I ended up writing this book, Global Food Revolution, and here's the gist of the beginning of the book, and that is 4 facts and a wild card. As you can see, fact number 1, global population explosion, 8.9 billion people by 2050. we have right now, the curve of humanity growth is just like this, just accelerating like Bitcoin last year, right? Just heading to the moon like a stock or something that, wow, what just happened? And yet, fact number 2, usable farmlands are reducing, going down. Many reasons. In Panama, farms lay dormant because the farmers, it's a no startup for them. To start their farm is to lose everything they have. They can't make it happen. It's high cost to start. It's a high cost to feed their plants. High cost versus low cost of the food. They're going to lose money. And that's around the world, farmlands reducing. Also, did you know that the way we've been growing, we're losing our topsoil? If you've heard the report, we only have 60 crops left on planet Earth before all of the topsoil is in the ocean. So we're just losing topsoil like crazy. We've got 60 crops left. We're going to have to really revise the way we're growing. Things have to change pretty quickly. At least I think we'll find an answer 60 crops from now, or we're not going to have anything to eat out of the ground grown. So number 3, technology is stalled. We used to grow lettuce in 45 days. We can get it down to 28 days now through hydroponics. We need to get it down to 14 days. We can't. It's stalled. Number 4, superbugs, bacteria, virus. Those things are coming on the planet like you wouldn't believe. I just saw, just this morning, the dry spell hitting the western U.S. has sparked massive locust attacks that are raising up right now. I mean, we've got Pharaoh's locusts in western U.S. just destroying everything because of the drought conditions, which has spurred them to start hatching. So, and we all know virus, we know what the little human virus did for crop production around the world. We'll talk about that in just a second. Number 5 is the wild card. We call that climate craziness. It's heating up in some areas, it's cooling down in others. The jungles are becoming deserts, and deserts are becoming jungles. Indigenous, who once enjoyed, in India, they enjoyed growing tea for generations, are now bringing tourists in to show them this new strange white powder that's growing on their land called snow. They can no longer grow tea. Things are changing all over the place, and for the indigenous, those that don't have the money to move out of the way, it's disastrous for them. It's the end of life as they've known it. They're going to have to be helped, get education, get very creative very quick. They're not going to make it another 10 years. So that's those are the things we know that are coming. They were coming. They're here. We believe they're going to ramp up and become even stronger in the coming 5 years. Let's look at a couple stories now that'll give us an international approach. Etherian Cousin, Executive Director, UN of the UN World Food Program. The numbers tell a deeply worrying story. It is a race against time. We need to act now to save the lives and livelihoods of the millions at the brink of starvation today. Global report on food crisis. Currently, the world is faced with an unprecedented call for action. The numbers of people facing food insecurity are on the rise, caused primarily by conflict, record high food prices, and abnormal weather patterns. Wow. Antonio Guterres, UN Secretary General, says the lives of millions of people depend on our collective ability to act. In our world of plenty, there is no excuse for inaction or indifference. Did you know that the coronavirus pandemic expanded this global famine? Everything I read to you was before the pandemic. Since the pandemic, the expansion of global famine has accelerated by 80%. And what's really amazing to me is that in Latin America, it's expanded by 269%. Latin America took a bigger hit than Africa, than other undeveloped third world nations. Latin America is in deep trouble. And there's a few reasons behind that. Bloomberg in September 2020, no meat, no milk, no bread. Hunger crisis rocks Latin America. The COVID-19 pandemic, and by the way, this is David Beasley, World Food Program's executive director, says COVID-19 pandemic has just been devastating in Latin America, where the economic storm clouds were already gathering. Families are struggling to buy basics like food and medicine as livelihoods are destroyed and the number of people out of work in the region hits 44 million. 44 million out of work. Here's just a few headlines. The UN warns that the number of people starving to death could double amid the pandemic. Latin America and the Caribbean to see 269% rise in people suffering from hunger. That's from the World Food Program. And The Guardian reported that over 30 million people are one step away from starvation. This is all just in the last months. Ministry of Labor and Labor Development forecasts at least 386,000 Panamanians will be laid off at the end of 2020. This was right before December 2020. They posted this, which would have meant a 25% unemployment rate. Everyone said, what? Are you kidding me? But the fact is, we're at 26.5% unemployment rate in Panama right now. 1 in 4 are unemployed long-term. Long-term. So during this time, businesses opening back up, the Panamanians have thought, well, I've got a job. They haven't told me I'm fired, that they have to let me go. I do believe that it's July is when all businesses have to come to the table and say, you either got a job or you don't. And July is going to be a really tough month for a lot of people who realize they are unemployed. And will be no more benefits, no more expectations of going back to work. So 1 in 4 unemployed in Panama, most of these people with no savings accounts, no capacity to buy food tomorrow or next month because they're out of work this month. This is another crazy story that came out right before the end of 2020. Panama is faced with a pandemic of school dropouts reaching 40%. 4 in 10 people are lost in the school systems of Panama. 4 in 10, 40%. So now, what does that mean? Well, in the world of the indigenous, most of those kids receive their 1 meal per day at school. So where are they now? In our world, around our farm, the indigenous who are all around us, they didn't have enough money to load their cell phone card to go to school online. That would be $35 a month to be back online. These are people whose entire families live on $250 to $300 a month income. And so they were unable to afford that school, per child, per phone, all of that. So long story short, up to 40% of kids are just lost. They don't know where they're at. And until school starts back up, they don't know if these kids are malnutrition. Are they being fed? Where's the families? Did the families pass away from COVID? Where are they? They don't know. That just drives me crazy. It makes it very hard to sleep at night knowing that those are the stats in Panama. So I wanted to throw out a call to action here. We can talk about we can talk about ideas. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, so a few things. I know people ask, oh my goodness, this is just horrible news. Well, there is a silver lining. There's an opportunity just around you, wherever you live. You probably have peeked through the bushes. There's probably a family right over there that you can help with very little output. You know, and you might be able to help 3 or 4 families with just a little bit more output. First of all, if they know that you care, and they know that you're there for them, that speaks huge volumes to know that the neighborhood's intact, and if they really get in trouble, they got a door they could knock on for some rice and some beans or something to help the family. Get involved somewhere with an organization or in your little community. Just some time, some of your talent. I believe that one of the great things that can happen in Panama is Panama needs education. And education is one of the huge, huge things that they're missing out on, especially among the indigenous. We take our employees through education all the time with real simple things like we spent one solid month on this key. Time is money, but not in Panama. Time is not money in Panama. Time is fluid. Mañana, whatever. It's not. Time is not money in this world, and so because of that, that stimulates and propagates poverty. So, but if we understand that time is valuable, we all only have so much of it available, and if we can understand how valuable that time is, we can convert that time into our very best effort, our very best focus. We can instead of having no goal, I can get a 5-year plan and start working it and try to hit it in 5 years. But if time's not money, there is no future. There are no future plans. There's no reason for any of that. So that's just one concept that we've seen a great result with our people that we've taught that to. Really, time is money, and they always get drilled with that on our farm. So if time's not money, we got nothing to do here. Just take it easy, and whatever grows will grow, and whatever gets planted will get planted, and let's just see how well this farm does. That's not going to happen. It has to, we have to do everything business pattern and with the very best of our ability. So if you have a talent or a skill, they need your skill. They need you to be able to teach it. If you've got a little bit of time, you've got a few business practices, if you can iron or sew or teach a lady how to clean a house, I mean, we all have something that they need. And I want to encourage you with that. Take a look. Just take a personal look. What do I have with time and some talent that I could help others with in my area? I think that's a huge thing. And then I put down here, looks like it all went wrong. Eradicate poverty, level by level. Again, if you were going to go to a betterment seminar, you're going to get 100 times more in one seminar that you could ever give out here. It's got to go little by little because there have been no seminars for the indigenous. There has been no self-help. There's never been a goal-setting educational class that any of them have ever gone to. And make it 5.3 years, and for whatever reason, they pick up a hoe, a shovel, just go to work as a subsistence farmer. They're going to make $250 to $300 a month the rest of their life. Because they were just not educated. They weren't given the opportunity. So it goes a lot slower here, but they are very receptive. If you can give it to them, and help them with it, they're going to grab it, and it will start benefiting them and slowly changing everything in their lives. I don't know if you've seen an indigenous kid who made it to college. It's a miracle. They had proper nutrition, and they had a whole lot of help. And if they made it through college, they're probably bilingual, and they're going to make more money than their relatives ever made, and they'll be in a position to work anywhere in the world, with whether it's English and Spanish and Nole. They can every new language they learn will double their income. So those are a couple of things that we can do with our help, or with our time, with our capacity. So with that, I see you've got a microphone here. If you would like to ask any questions, I can't promise that I know, but I would be glad to just give you my opinion from a farmer's point of view.
Are you familiar with Nutra Holger in David?
Nutra
Holger.
I've heard the name. No, I'm not familiar.
Well, it's the charity or non-government organization that takes in severely malnourished children that are referred to them by the children in Mother's Hospital in DeVete. So these kids are near death.
Oh.
And right now, because of COVID, they're slowly rebuilding their capacity. But in a normal time, they have like 40 children. And they spend a lot of money on food and other things.
Yeah.
They buy Klim or KLM or whatever those very expensive supplements are for their kids. And it just occurs to me that your powdered stuff that you put in rice would be a wonderful thing for them to feed their kids. Now, some of them are so small they're not on solid food yet, but the majority of them are on solid food. So maybe I could take you down there someday.
That would be wonderful. Get them on the superfood Popeye.
Yeah, I'll take you down and introduce you to the people, okay?
That's amazing. And that brings me to one comment. We've had so many different groups that have said, oh, we need this super powder. And so that has stimulated us that we're working now we're going to construct a 40-foot container that will expand our current dehydration from 150 pounds to 1,500 pounds per day capacity. We have farmers that will say, I got 3,000 pounds of tomatoes, do you want them? And I say, yes, but don't bring them, because I'm going to lose 150 pounds a day. I'm going to lose 2,700 pounds before, so we have to ramp the capacity up. The need is there, the opportunities are there, and the need is much greater.
Well, just to give you an example, Nutri-Holgar in a normal month needs $25,000 to operate. It's a lot. And they have some farmers who have pledged a cow every month, or a truckload of tomatoes, like you said. But their need is mostly for these superfoods because the kids are in total emergency situations.
Wow. The good news with dehydration, we take something that is going to be gone in 2 to 5 days, and we extend its nutritional capacity by up to a year. We're going to get it in the place where it needs to go. We have plenty of time. So we love dehydration. We think that's one of the big answers to the future. Any other questions?
We live right across the canyon from you. We're in Los Colinos. And so we bought in 2005 and our house was completed in 2007. Well, my question to you is, I bought a moringa tree, but the ants love them, those leaf-cutting ants. And we're not always here. We spend most of our time we're in California and then come back to our house, and it's got no leaves on it. So I'm using Murex now, but I think it's dead. The moringa tree is dead. I think, it hasn't come back. No.
Is that just recent that the leaves were stripped?
I don't know. We've been gone for 2.5 years.
I see. So a couple things. It certainly could be dead, but moringa, the way we grow it to 6 feet and we cut it off, and then it grows like 8 to 10 side branches up. If we let it go, it goes to 35 feet, and we can't get the leaves. They're too far up, right? So we cut it at 6 feet, and then every 90 days, or actually every 40 days, we could harvest 1 kilo of leaves per plant every 40 days, 3 to 4 feet long. It's just amazing. So we've had those ants, we've come out, what happened to all of our leaves? But for today, it's all back. So when we harvest, we strip every leaf off that thing that looks like it's just a pole sticking in the ground. 20 days later, it's all coming out again, over and over, for about 25 years is what we're told. So one moringa tree will produce up to 1 kilo of leaves every 40 days. And so if you haven't been there very long, then just deal with those ants so they can't get up there and take
The Murex.
With that?
We throw Murex, M-I-R, yeah.
There you go. And and then let that thing sit for just, if it's not budding back in 10 days, then it is gone.
Okay.
But it should pop right back out again. The good news with moringa, one of the things we're educating other countries to do, find one hectare of land, that's 2.5 acres, plant 3,000 moringa trees. And those moringa trees will feed, fully nutritionally feed 5,000 people indefinitely. 1 hectare, 3,000 trees, 5,000 people, then you're not going to die. Now imagine a hurricane ripped through and stripped every leaf, every lettuce plant, all the tomatoes, everything's gone. In 20 days, that moringa tree is growing again, and you're eating from it, and you're not going to die if everything has been wiped away. So typically, that all the leaves we stripped off, and it's coming back again.
Okay, where can I buy one of those moringa trees?
You can come get one from us.
Oh, up at Potrerillos?
Yeah, we have seed and we have trees.
Okay,
all the
great,
time.
yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
Thank
If you do plant moringa, plant it high in this area because the roots don't like to sit in water. So plant it high so that after that rain every day, it washes away and lets those roots breathe again. Plant it low, 1 in 2 chance that it will drown.
Oh, well, I'm just so excited about what you're doing. It's just, it gives me a lot of hope for the possibilities. And one attitude I really hope changes is in the USA, we have all these billionaires, multi-billionaires, 400 or 500 of them. And the UN has estimated that a 20-year program costing $30 billion could eliminate poverty on the planet. Any one of 400 or 500 billionaires could take care of that, and they don't. But yet we have this attitude of glorifying these billionaires, and we should consider them filthy rich. And so if any of us can find the way to reach these people and say, you are not using your money ethically, we need to fix poverty. That's it.
Absolutely.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Daniel, on his website, he has all kinds of things that he grows, and sometimes he'll go to the market and bring it back, but it's for sale. And it's one way that we make money at Global Food Providers is for, and he even has a delivery service, but he does have this big table at the tap-out side of Tuesday Market. And so if you're not on that mailing list, I'd ask you to give Daniel your name, and we can do the mailing. There's a couple of projects that we've got always going, and if you want to make a donation there to a particular project, the chicken project or the dehydration project, please feel free to do that. We really need that. As you can tell, dehydration is a big thing. The quicker that we can get that new dehydrator put together, the quicker we can go from 1,000 or 100 pounds to 1,500 pounds a day and be able to put that out, and especially for the superfood. So please sign up with at Global Food Providers.
Thanks, Tim. One, I might mention that we are a USA nonprofit, and but my weakness, I don't like asking for money. I would just rather go start a business and use those funds and fund the nonprofit work and just keep moving. That's just my weakness, you know. So I very seldom ask for funds, but I spend extra energy to try to figure out how do we make a nonprofit pay for itself. Never done it fully yet, but we do sell like crazy. Monday and Tuesday are 2 big days, and the goal is to pay off the employee cost for the week. And if we make enough, keep banking it for when we lose a $1,500 piece of plastic from the wind, you know. So anyway, that's we appreciate you mentioning that, because I don't say much ever about you know, donate. Yes.
That was my question. You have a 501c3 in the United States?
Yeah.
So somebody can give I'm sure many of us still pay taxes in the United States, and you're looking for a nice deduction. You can, if you put it through that charitable organization in the United States, you can deduct it from your taxes. Also, I noticed the Amazon logo. You have the Amazon Smile program?
Yeah, we sure do. We're on that
You should
Smile
talk
program.
about that.
And the books are all out there. We typically just, you can order it, they'll print it and ship it to you, so.
But you guys all know how to use the Amazon Smile program? We all order from Amazon. You click what charity a percentage of your order should go to, and you can click on him.
That's right, that's right. Yep. At no additional cost to you.
At no additional cost.
I just want to make one more comment. The effort that Daniel puts in here for fresh food. Number one, he goes to the market on Mondays. It's the wholesale produce market, so whatever he doesn't grow, he buys, and it's all packaged, ready to go for Tuesday, either to the table or to the delivery service. But the other piece, at 3 o'clock on Tuesday morning, Daniel and his group are up, and that's when they pick everything out of the greenhouse. So you've got about as fresh as food as you're going to have. That's the commitment that he makes.
Then we take it easy Wednesday through Saturday. We just go to work at 7 a.m. on Wednesday, like a day off. In my other life, I used to go to bed at 7. No more. Anyone else?
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.